Thursday, May 1st, here on the Just Baseball Show. That's Aram and I am Peter Apple. And on this episode, our all MLB team for the month of April and March, as well as some of the best performances and worst performances of the month and change so far. But we're also going to start with some good news. Chase Petty got called up by the Cincinnati Reds, and Lance McCullers Jr. is making his return back from the IL for the Houston Astros, and it is all brought to us by the sportsbook Born in Vegas. Remember, folks, download BetMGM on iOS or Android and use promo code JustBaseball. Why? First bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first wager loses. But remember, gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 years or older. Terms and conditions apply. Loaded episode, Arm. I'm really excited to recap all of April and March, but I want to start with Chase Petty. One of the prize pitching possessions for the Reds just got called up. What does he got?
Got good stuff, man, and he's really evolved. If you remember, he was drafted in the first round by the Twins, traded for Sonny Gray, and when he was coming out of high school, it was all about the 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and then we'll see what kind of develops off of that. He still throws hard, but it's more 95 to 98, and two different fastballs though too, where the four seamer was kind of straight, and now he's got this heavier sinker, and then the four seamer that's got better carry now off of it. So that's been really beneficial for him. And then on top of that, he's got two different sliders. He's got like a gyro slider and then a sweeper, and both of those have really helped him be successful. He just turned 22 years old and has already had a good deal of success at the AAA level. So I think Petty's a great fit too to be able to survive in that ballpark because he's been able to mitigate the long ball since he's got up to the upper levels. He now with that sinker being added and the gyro slider gets above average ground ball rate, so that's going to help him, in a ballpark where it's kind of easy to leave the yard. And he entered this year as a number 68 prospect for us overall at Just Baseball, and with the start that he had in AAA, it was poised to climb a little bit more. The Reds are in a pretty good pitching spot, right? Because Chase Burns already in Double A, looking good there as well. Now Petty is just another iron in the fire. They're gonna get Rhett Lauder back, and that's another guy that can offer them some, I think, solid, consistent innings. I feel like all of a sudden the Reds are in a pretty good spot pitching depth wise, at least on the rotation side.
On the rotation side, they've been awesome. Hunter Green, it has been incredible, but Nick Lodolo has been even better if we're just looking at ERA. Green 2.70, Nick Lodolo 2.25. Brady Singer has been great as well, as has Andrew Abbott. And of course, they have Nick Martinez. So I'm curious, is Chase Petty, is this a one and done type start? Or do you think that they're going to find some way to keep him in this rotation, maybe a six man, or is this kind of a one and done situation?
I think this might just be kind of a plug and play and then figure it out later. Like I think this is probably a spot start, but at the same time, you're trying to compete and hang around, and when you can be six deep and have a guy that's waiting in AAA, I think that's awesome. It is going to be interesting to see how they maneuver everything going into next year and beyond, because I think you could argue that Petty absolutely deserves a rotation spot as soon as next season. Of course, you'll have Martinez out of the fold. We'll see what they'll do with some of these other guys. But in the meantime, I do kind of think he's just that alternate that's waiting in the wings. But it's as good of a spot start option as you can have. And it's going to be a great experience for him as, aside from one bad start this year, overall has had a pretty easy time with AAA, competition so far.
Let's move over to another pitcher. Lance McCullers Jr. is set to be activated off the IL. He hasn't pitched in a major league game since game 3 of the 2022 World Series in Philadelphia. He's going to return to the mound Sunday at Guaranteed Rate Field in Chicago. I couldn't believe it's been that long since he's been back on the mound. I had to read that off an MLB.com article, and I almost had to double check my work or his work, the writer of the article, because I couldn't believe that it's been 2 seasons and change since we've seen Lance McCullers. Always dominant in the playoffs, always a solid pitcher when he's been on the mound. This guy has just been ravaged by injuries.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's got to the point where we were starting to wonder, like, are we going to get to see this guy on the mound again? And when we do, what's it going to look like? And he's not what he once was in terms of the velocity. I mean, we used to see him, hovering around the mid 90s comfortably. But even in 2022, where he had some starts where he was fantastic after coming back at the end of the season, he was more in the 92, 93, 94 range. Since coming back, he's been more in the 90 to 92 range. I would say closer to 91, 92 in those two rehab outings, but he's been fantastic. He made a AAA rehab appearance and then a AA rehab appearance. And the last two that he made, he combined for 9 innings of scoreless ball, 12 strikeouts, and just 2 walks. And I know McCullers was talking about it. Like he still feels comfortable in his ability to be effective at 91, 92 miles per hour. And I absolutely think he can be. You remember, like the fastball was never a dominant pitch for him. He was going through stretches where he was throwing 20 something curveballs in a row. And from what I've seen so far, just in the rehab appearances, I understand it's minor league competition, but that curveball is playing. Like it looks really good, and it looks like the pitch that it always was, and it's been dominating hitters so far. Again, I know it's minor league hitters, but he's commanding it, and it has just been overwhelming for them. So that's still a pitch that he'll be able to lean on. I don't know what the role is going to look like or anything like that, but they stretched him out to 71 pitches last time out, 5 innings of shutout ball with 7 Ks. And I mean, even if he's just a depth option for you, it's just one, great to see him back. And two, you can always use, an arm like him, whether it's 60% of what he used to be, or he can push closer to 70, 80% of what he used to be.
And it's jarring to hear that this is his first start since the 2022 World Series, but you got to remember that this is a human being and he's been going through this long road kind of by himself while nobody's really been paying attention. And I thought this quote was really interesting for him. Again, it's from that same MLB article written by Brian McTaggart on MLB.com. And the quote is, "It's a day I've waited for a long time. It feels like I'm making my debut in some aspects. It's been a really long road for me. I thank my teammates, coaching staff, and the Astros organization for standing by me and supporting me. I'm excited just to get kind of this stuff done and just get back into the flow of pitching for this team." I mean, the Astros have stuck by him, absolutely. And this guy, like, to go through the mental, right? We've seen so many guys when they go down with injury, right? You see him, you see all the emotion kind of coming through, right? I remember Jacob deGrom that last time when he got that surgery, or there have been plenty of other guys where you can see it in their face. We haven't seen Lance McCullers Jr. in a presser. We've just seen a lot of this. We haven't seen a lot of this because it's been behind closed doors. So I can't imagine the type of fortitude to get and just continue to fight in this spot to get back into the bigs. This is a crazy road this guy has been down.
Yeah, and you imagine plenty of setbacks along the ways, and it probably has to make you nervous and anxious and uncomfortable and frustrated and all of the emotions. I can't imagine. And what I'm excited about for him, and I know he talked about it, is he has a chance to potentially get to 10-year service time, and I know that's definitely a big goal for him. And he was talking about how his father, who pitched in the majors, like didn't quite get there. I think he was like 6 or 7 years. So that part of it is exciting too. But yeah, I mean, just an absolute grind to get back, and I'm hoping he's able to stick around and his arm holds up.
And I know this is kind of mean, but good start against the White Sox, right? If
Yeah,
you're gonna win
exactly. I
this,
think I wonder if that was timed up a little
yeah.
bit, right? Like where it's like, all right, let's soft launch you here into an appearance against the White Sox where you can ease your way in. But I like that.
Absolutely. So let's go to our first team all MLB. So this is the best player at every single position, taking into account all of the stats from the later parts of March into April. And we basically kind of created this team together. So there's not going to be much of a debate here. It's more just going to be highlighting the best players in baseball up to this point. And now it's not quite just the war leaders, right? We had to step in and make some choices. So I'm sure in the YouTube comments below, if you think that someone else deserved it over the guy we picked, feel free to fill up those comments because, of course, we're probably going to talk about one player when another player is just as deserving. Those are the players that we just picked. And then after we do our all MLB team, I have best starting pitching performance so far, best offensive performance, best team performance, most surprising start, both positive and negative, and most surprising player, both positive and negative. So let's start at the catching position with Cal Raleigh, our
Yeah.
all MLB player at the catching position for the month of April and March. 900 OPS, 10 home runs, playing great defense. A huge reason why the Mariners are atop the American League West, because the pitching, of course, has been solid, but the offense has really come to play. And Jorge Blanco has been awesome, but Cal Raleigh is the spoon that stirs this drink.
Yeah, I mean, well, that was a good one. Spoon that stirs the
You
drink.
like this one?
Uh, where'd you get that? You
I,
get that from somewhere?
it's definitely there's definitely another phrase for it. And in the middle of what I was just talking about, I kind of made it up on the spot.
I actually like that.
Okay.
He's been awesome, and like a huge part of that offense, even when it's been bad in the last couple of years. But it's early; it's just the first month. But he's been as good as really ever offensively. So seeing that, it's like he just continues to level up, as we talked about, on the other episode of why I think he, very easily could be the best catcher in baseball. And if you kind of go back to the second half of last year and then the start of this season, his last 100, and I want to go exactly to 100 games on the dot. If you go to his last 100 games on the dot, he has launched 30 or 29 home runs.
Hmm.
Like that's a he could, and he's off to a start this year where he could very easily launch 40 this year.
Yeah.
If you're a catcher who launches 40 with plus potentially platinum glove, at least gold glove defense, that's an MVP candidate. The problem is he's going to potentially hit 240 and doing so, but like there's a world where he produces 8 WAR if it all goes perfectly this year.
Yes.
So like I do feel like we maybe haven't even seen the best of Cal Raleigh yet, and it's been cool to just see him continue to level up. It was 27 home runs in 2022. It was 30 home runs in 2023. It was 34 in 2024, and he's on pace to top that in 2025. So I'm excited to see how high he can get that number up this year. And I mean, if he keeps that slug over 500, he could be among the top WAR leaders at the end of the season.
At first base, New York Mets, Pete Alonso. It has to be Pete Alonso. He actually has the fourth highest FWAR in all of baseball right now, only trailing Aaron Judge, Corbin Carroll, and Pete Crow Armstrong. He is tied with Fernando Tatis Jr. He's got an OPS at 1126. He's hitting 350. He's slugging 664. He's got 7 jacks already. He has been so freaking good for the New York Mets. And a Mets offense that has been okay, hasn't been great, right? Juan Soto hasn't taken that mega leap. Mark Vientos has been a little bit of a slide. I know Brandon Nimmo had 9 RBIs the other day, but if you look at Brandon Nimmo's whole season, it's been a little bit disappointing. Now, the pitching has been incredible, but a big reason they're 21-9 is Big Pete Alonso.
Oh yeah. And how about the fact that this guy's walking as much as he struck out this year?
Crazy.
To be a power bat who is 20 walks, 20 strikeouts is just crazy. So that's the side of it where like he talked about being as locked in as he's maybe ever been since his big year at UF. I believe it because he's striking out by far the least he ever has. He's walking by far the most he ever has in terms of a percentage rate, and he's slugging like crazy too. To be among the F4 leaders as a first baseman is pretty crazy because you mentioned guys who are going to run, who are going to defend, and are going to do all these different things. Like this is very clearly he's going to have the best season unless he falls off a cliff. Just don't see it happening. His best season since he was a rookie when he launched 53 homers, and he might not launch 53, but he's as good bat to ball wise and just generally like just contact consistency wise and swing decision wise and as we've maybe ever seen him so far in the major leagues. I know it's 30 games, but it's hard to argue against it. And I think there's clearly a fire that was lit under him after the way this offseason went for him.
And I like how you noted that, yeah, he might not hit the 53 home runs, but I'm sure if you ask Mets fan, would you like this version of Pete Alonso who's has 11 doubles, right? He's slugging at the highest rate that he ever has been to start the year. Would you rather have this version of Pete Alonso, or would you rather have the version that hits 53 home runs? It's
Yeah.
easy, right?
Yeah.
Because you'd rather the better all-around hitter than just the guy who's pure power. And now in that
Yeah.
53 home run year, he was still a good hitter, but this is a completely different guy. 15% K rate, 15% walk rate. Yeah, we'll take that every day of the week.
Absolutely, and that provides just a different level, I think, of protection as well for a Soto, because it's like it's not just okay, we may rather pitch to Pete, which I don't think anybody wants to right now. It's he's gonna hit the ball and play hard right now. Like you're not gonna be able to strike him out, and that's the part that I think really stands out too. So it's been fun to watch him do his thing, and the way free agency shook out for him, it may end up resulting in him getting paid even more after this season.
At second base, Boston Red Sox, Christian Campbell. Gotten off to a great start at just 22 years old. He's hitting over 300. His on base percentage is 420. He's slugging 515. That's a Hall of Fame level slash line arm with a 935 OPS. He's got 4 homers. He's got 2 steals. Dynamic player on both sides of the ball. I think what jumps out to me the most with Christian Campbell, 16% walk rate.
Yeah,
I mean, what even
super
is
patient.
that? Like, did you see that in the minor leagues? I know that you still think he's a good player and a good start, right, is definitely good for him. And I'm sure you could have seen that coming, but did you see a 16% walk rate as a part of that hot start that could potentially happen?
Not that high. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought he'd be three true outcome ish, like where it's because I thought there'd be more swing and miss. He has been patient though. Like if you look at the numbers last year, it was like a 21% chase rate, and he walked at a 14% clip. But I didn't see that increasing at the big league level because at times against some better arms, and we saw it in spring training, he looked a little sped up because the operation is so noisy. But this has been so amazing to see because I'm gonna do I'm gonna write a piece in when we do the next top 100 update of just kind of like where I went wrong on the preseason rankings and like what I learned from it and like and some of the things that stood out. And Campbell's gonna headline that, of course. But what's really amazing about him is like he's just so clearly an exception to a lot of the rules of like you wouldn't teach anybody to swing like Christian Campbell, and I think a lot of guys if they swung like him would really struggle. But you can't just definitively say, oh, if you hit like that, you won't succeed because there's just outlier athletes. And he just clearly is that. Like he moves so uniquely in the box, but he makes it work because he's twitchy, he's a freak, and in the best way possible, he's a freak, and he's able to just get his best swing off. And what I like about him too now, and what I've seen is like he doesn't let the bad swings take him out of an at bat because like
Mm,
he is kind of erratic, right? And he'll take a brutal swing at a ball, and his bat goes flying,
yeah.
and he'll go pick it up, he'll lock back in, and then he'll shoot one the other way on a line. It's just like he's got this short memory that I think is really helping him as well too because he knows there's going to be kind of these wide ranges. He's going to strike out a little bit, but like there's just like in the same at bat, you'll see him take a terrible swing and then he'll take a breath, step back in, either spit on a really tough borderline pitch or put a great swing on a ball. And it's just like this guy's just got this unique edge that's going to help him. So yeah, I mean, absolutely eating crow on the just not having him in the top 20 preseason wise because the swing decisions have been excellent. He's hitting the piss out of the ball, and I mean, he's just putting together good at bats consistently.
He's been fantastic, as is his teammate at third base, Boston Red Sox, Alex freaking Bregman. Now, we just talked about him, I think, on the Tuesday episode, because we were reviewing all of the big free agent signings. Uh, but I want to ask you this too, because this is what I've seen, and I'm curious if you've seen the same. Alex Bregman is sacrificing some swing and miss in order to get into a little bit more power. At 31 years old, I don't think that he has just gotten a lot stronger, but his hard hit rate certainly says that 48% hard hit rate, which is by far the highest of his career. Even last year at 40%, that was the highest to this point. But he's striking out a little bit more, which is fine, right? It goes
Yeah.
from 13% to 18%. And another cool stat that I mentioned on Tuesday's show is that we thought that Alex Bregman was going to destroy baseballs at Fenway Park. The Green Monster is perfect for all the low liner doubles that he was going to hit. Some of those home runs went out at Minute Maid, but at Fenway, they're either going out or smacking up against the Monster. Could be the league leader in doubles. He has a higher OPS on the road than he does at home. So Alex
Yeah,
Bregman is putting it all together for the Red Sox right now.
and it's been really cool to just see him. Another guy that like the way free agency kind of shook out, he could end up getting himself, paid even more on the back end as well. And what's amazing with him is Yes, he's striking out slightly. It's only 18%, which just shows you how
Yeah.
solid bat to ball wise he is. In zone contact wise, it's relatively similar. I think he's just more comfortable going deeper into counts too, where like his chase rate and overall swing rate, I don't think has been. I don't know if his swing rate's ever been lower than it is this year. So he's taking a lot of pitches, seeing a lot of pitches, and waiting for his pitch in his spot and getting it off. And
Mm.
he knows if he goes down to two strikes, he's going to be just fine in those situations as well because he is so good bat to ball wise. And this is actually a nuts stat. With two strikes this year, he's slashing 262, 318, 492. He's at 810 OPS with two strikes. I don't think that's sustainable, but like that's absolutely insane. Three of his six home runs have come with two strikes.
Wow.
So he's still getting his swings off even when he's down. And it's been really impressive to see.
Absolutely. Let's go over to the shortstop position. Bobby Witt Jr. of the Kansas City Royals makes the All MLB team. He's not quite Bobby Witt Jr., or at least Bobby Witt Jr. of last year. And this is a down year for him. 316, 385, 474 for an 859 OPS
Terrible.
while playing elite defense and possibly being the fastest player in the league. Well, maybe second fastest now to Chandler Simpson. But Arm, he only got 2 home runs. Yeah, he stole 9 bases, but this is a down year for Bobby Witt Jr. That's how incredible he is.
It's funny too. The home road splits have normalized a little bit. You remember last year it
Really?
was 885 at home. It was a
So
298 885 OPS, but it was a 298 332 553 slash line at home and a 254 305 436 slash line on the road. It's a 741 OPS. So far this year, or sorry, excuse me, that was in 2023.
yeah.
2024 was the most extreme splits ever. Home games, holy crap. Home games in 2024, 382, 441, 676 was good for an 1117 OPS. And then away games, he only hit 284, 340, 505 as an 844 OPS. I don't think I realized how insane the home numbers were for it's an 81 game sample size with this guy hitting like Todd Helton
Yeah.
at course. Like 382?
Hoffman
This
is a
year, though, 869 OPS at home, 846 OPS on the road. So I think the only reason why he's not Bobby Witt right now is he's not OPSing 1100 at home. What's wrong with him at home?
I agree. This is a down year, and still he's sixth in Major League Baseball at F4, 1.5. He's, I mean, we talk about the best players in baseball, all the time, and Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani are consistently debated. Bobby's like
He's
right
right there.
there. He's
He's right
right
there.
there.
When the conversation is like, oh, waiting for him to fully get going, and he's among the leaders in F4, and he has an 860 OPS. Like, yeah, it's scary, and he's the best shortstop so far this season. We were talking about the Royals' offensive side of things though, and how he needs to get Bobby some help. Jack Caglione was playing right field the other day in Double A or
Mm,
in Double A.
good.
Look, good. I don't give a shit if he's Kyle Schwarber out there, which
Yeah.
he won't be. Like they need some outfield pop. They just need pop in general, and I think Cags playing the outfield tells me they're looking to maybe insert him into the equation sooner rather than later.
So there are some elite arms in right field, clearly in Major League Baseball. Do you think Jack Caglione could be like 100th percentile of arm strength, the former pitcher just pulling down 104 from the
Yes,
outfield, though?
a
Like, because you
hundred
think about
percent.
Kyle Schwarber, is the range going to be there? Who knows? But you ain't running on him either.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, at least if he's gonna like be a little bit slow to a ball or boot it, he could pick it up and throw you out at third or at
Yeah.
home. Like, so that is the difference, and that arm is gonna help. Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that was up to the upper 90s on the mound. His velo dropped at the end of his collegiate career, but assuming that that's he's all healthy again, arm wise, like yeah, that could be one of the best outfield arms. They'll be fun to watch.
All right, before we get to the outfield, the DH, and our starting staff with a closer and a non closer, and then, of course, all of the superlatives for the month of April and a little bit of March, our first break. Okay, we start our outfield with the best overall player in baseball to start the season. And if Shohei doesn't come back to pitch soon, it's very clear Aaron Judge is the best player in baseball. 412, 507. 728 for an OPS above 1200 with 9 homers and 3 steals. We know the bat is an all-time stick. Can rival peaks of Barry Bonds, Albert Pujols, You name him, he can do it. Go look at the numbers. It is unbelievable how good he is as an offensive piece. But what makes Aaron Judge further special, he's playing elite defense, not just good
Thank God he's
defense.
out of center field, by the way. Like I'm just glad he's playing right where he can just go be elite
But
and
he can
protect
play
his
center
body.
field. He played an above average center field last
No,
year. And
I know, but
now he's
I
playing arguably the best defense in right field of any player. Like that's on
that,
top of the best offense in baseball. And that's why he leads Major League Baseball in F WAR, is because on top of it, you have a little bit of speed, right? He has 3 steals and elite defense. He's the best Yankee I've ever seen.
yeah, I'm so glad he's playing a corner for his sake. I think it helps him offensively just to have his legs under him. And I think that's a really underrated part of what happened last year, where we saw him, not succeed as much in the playoffs and people were so hard on him. That guy was playing a lot of center field. And that is a very exhausting position where you got to be moving on pretty much every ball put in play. And he's a big dude. Like, and it's not like he's 24, he's 32, now 33. So that side of it, I'm really excited about because I think it's going to allow him to be consistent through the duration of the year, but also an elite right field that he's capable of playing. You're squeezing out even more value. So I love that side of it. One just fun Aaron Judge stat against left-handed pitching so far this year. It's 21 at bats. He has 10 hits, 4 homers, and 2 doubles. He's slashing 476, 577, 1143. That's the slug. That's a 1720 OPS. And actually though, he has been getting a little bit lucky.
Mm,
669 WOBA
mm,
and a 586 x WOBA against
mm.
lefties. So
So he
it
will.
should be lower. That's the one thing. But no, it's incredible just watching this like final form Judge that's still providing the power and hitting 400. Like, what are we talking about here? This is incredible stuff.
I also think it's a little bit crazy. He's doing it at 33.
Yep.
He's a little bit
Yep.
older.
This is some Bond shit, like you said. Like
Yeah.
this is like the closest thing we've seen to that.
Bond shit without the juice. Let's move
Hmm.
on to our second best outfielder, Corbin Carroll, who is the second best player by F WAR in Major League Baseball for the Arizona Diamondbacks. 9 home runs, 5 steals. He's hitting 298, 171 WRC plus. He's playing good defense, but the offense is just outrageous. He does everything on the field. He is a 5 tool hitter,
Oh yeah.
if there is one, right? Because
Yeah.
it's bat to ball, it's plenty of power. He has so much speed. That would technically just be 3 tools. I'm just inventing 2 more because he deserves 2 more tools.
He,
Invent them
he
for
does
yourself.
everything.
He does
He
everything.
does everything. And when you're looking at what he's doing now from like a batted ball quality perspective, like he's hitting the ball so freaking hard, like harder than ever. He changed his setup a little bit, like where his hands are at. Uh, I think it's allowing him to stay back a little bit more. You're not seeing him overstride as much, so the lower half is really more involved, and I think it's allowing him to really utilize what is off the charts twitch, explosiveness, and athleticism. And through however many games it's been this year for him, it's been 29 games in terms of batted balls north of 110 miles per hour. He has 7 already this year. In 2024, over the course of the entire season, he had 10.
Wow.
So you're looking at a guy that is probably going to like 5x his 110 pluses. Uh, that's nuts when we're talking about a speedster who doesn't need to hit the ball 115 miles per hour to be a superstar. But now that he's producing, like, this is 70 grade power.
Yeah.
Wait, the fact that Corbin, and we always talked about, I always said, like, when he was a prospect, that the power was super underrated with him and that it could be plus. Never in my wildest dreams. And I think he could have 70 power.
Yeah.
Like in terms of raw, like he's flashing like 80.
Yeah.
It's crazy to see. So that side of it has been amazing. And then you're just watching him do all of the different things that he can do to impact the game. It's been really fun to watch him just, I think, get back to himself and then level up from there.
He's listed at 5'10, 165 with potentially 80 raw power. It's outrageous.
It doesn't make sense.
It's probably a combination too of the swing change a little bit, and his shoulder is probably a lot healthier.
Feeling a lot better. I know he shakes it out a little bit here and there, but it's got to be feeling way better. I know that there was the one home run he hit. I was at that game. It hit off like the face of the upper deck. It was a grand slam, and right after that game, Griffin texted me and was like, because it went over his head and right, and he's like, Carroll, all-time freak. Like, because I think just watching that ball fly off of his bat at that speed, it was just like, how does that guy produce that? And it's honestly, I don't know if we've really seen anybody like pound for pound. Talk about like in boxing or UFC, like who's the pound for pound best fighter. He might pound for pound be the most powerful hitter we have. Because yes, Judge hits the ball harder, Otani
Yes.
hits the ball a little bit harder, but they're also like double his size. Pound for pound, I think Corbin Carroll is the most powerful hitter we have.
He's like the Floyd Mayweather of
Yes.
of Major League Baseball in that way, where he's one of the best fighters of all time, but you wouldn't have Floyd Mayweather go up against Mike Tyson or Muhammad
No,
Ali or something like that. But pound for pound, best fighter of all time, and maybe Corbin Carroll, pound for pound, best power hitter in baseball.
I would say so.
I like that. That's definitely going to be one of our quote cards, which you can find on our Instagram. All right, moving over to the third and final outfielder, Pete Crow Armstrong. I mean, Pete Crow Armstrong of the Chicago Cubs at just 23 years old has put it all together to start the season, right? We knew how elite of a defender this guy was, and he is grading out like prime Andrew Jones. It's just incredible defense in center field. But then he also has 6 homers and 12 steals, and he's hitting 284 while slugging 543 with an 868 OPS. I got to give you credit on this one because going into the season, right, you and Jack were very high on Pete Armstrong, but you were the highest. And I just kept saying, when is the bat, like, where is all this power you guys keep talking about that you saw in the minor leagues? Like, I haven't really seen it. I've seen a max exit velo be pretty high, but I wasn't buying it. Army's got 6 home runs. It was a masterclass. He is showing that power. When he connects, it's a
Oh.
fucking rocket.
And he elevates, man. And I'm glad I could offset the Christian Campbell blunder. But no, it was all. What's amazing too is he's still crushing the ball, and you look at the shift in zone contact because like last year, that's where I did start to get a little bit concerned when we were talking about it. I'm like, no, I hear you, dude, because like not only is he not fully getting into the power, but like the bat to ball hasn't completely been there, and he's an aggressive hitter. So like you're looking at those things, it's like, well, if he's not getting into his power and he's chasing north of 40% and the contact rates are slightly below average, like how is he going to produce? And it was, well, he hits the ball in the air consistently. He's just going to need to lean into the power more and hopefully cut the chase. He hasn't cut the chase a ton, but he's hitting the ball harder than ever, and the contact rates have jumped. And I think that's the big thing where in zone contact rate of like 73% last year in his big league stint. And this year, I think his in zone contact rate has jumped up to 83%. It's a huge difference for a guy that, elevates consistently and is going to get the most out of, his batted ball when he does connect. So seeing him connect more consistently and elevate consistently, like he's a guy that could be a 720 OPS guy and he's going to give you 4 WAR. So the fact that he's an 870 OPS guy so far this season, he could be a 7 WAR guy if he kept it up all year. I think there's going to be some ebbs and flows. He's still chasing nearly 40% of the time. But when he's hot, I mean, he has the capability of accumulating like a full win in like
Yeah,
a single series.
it's incredible. All right, let's move on to the DH, Pavin Smith, of the Arizona Diamondbacks. So this one was tough for me as
I
a
was
Yankee
curious. That was the
fan.
one I was gonna say. Do you go Pavin or do you go Ben Rice? And
So
I was curious what you were gonna do. I didn't want to pressure you.
So I want to be non-biased. So you look at Pavin Smith and you look at Ben Rice, right? Pavin Smith has played one more game. Pavin Smith has half the amount of home runs, only 4 to Ben Rice's 8. But Pavin Smith is hitting 347, 478, 639. And while Ben Rice does have 8 home runs, Pavin Smith has a higher slugging percentage and his WRC plus is 205 versus 184. I'm anything but unbiased. Pavin Smith deserves it. It has been incredible, right? And again, I'll give credit to Mike Hazen being able to get off from Jock Peterson, giving Pavin Smith this runway, and he has just taken it and become legitimately the third best hitter in baseball to start the year.
Pavin Smith versus fastballs. 500, 629, 923 slash line. Um, if you don't miss either, he could be hitting zero against everything else. You're going to be successful, but he's hitting well against everything else. I was curious because it's tough because like DH you want to slug and you want to mash and like Ben Rice has been doing that. But I agree. Once you highlight the slugging percentage, it's like, yes, he's not hitting the same amount of home runs, but he has 9 doubles.
Yeah.
So like, if the slugging percentage is higher, at the end of the day, like home runs are just kind of like a important stat. It's fancy though. Like it's just it's it's a luxury if you're comparing at that point because like he's slugging more.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, that's all that matters. So it's been really cool to see Pavin, just and especially the thing with him is like he's just gonna murder righties. And that I think for both of these guys, like the separator the rest of the way is gonna be who hits lefties better, because both of them destroying righties, struggling a little bit against lefties. And the one thing I'll probably give to Ben Rice is that Pavin's been a little bit more sheltered from the lefties.
Definitely.
But at the same time, like I think you have to go with the guy that's hitting 350 and
Yeah.
slugging higher, even if the home run output is a little bit lower.
And to be fair to Pavin Smith, right, when we're talking about home runs, if you look at Baseball Savant's park factor, Chase Field in Arizona is one of the hardest parks to hit home runs at as a lefty, which actually,
Really? I didn't know that.
yeah, that's actually more of a Corbin Carroll stat then. The fact that
Yeah.
he's got 9 home runs
It doesn't matter because he's 80 power now. So
doesn't matter.
it's like,
So yeah, it's one of the hardest parks to hit home runs at for left-handed
interesting.
hitters, and Yankee Stadium is the second easiest to hit home runs at for left-handed bats. So it's like,
That solidifies it for me. Look at you.
yeah,
Just unbiased, just a pro.
I'm just
Pro's
trying to
pro.
just a pro's pro. All right, before we get into the starting pitching staff, I want to quickly discuss our Discord because it is the best baseball group chat in the world. You can find the link in the episode description to join. It's about $10 a month. And what do you get? You get my bets as soon as they place them and a place to sweat it out. You get a full MLB chat where it's just going off every single second. Takeaways from every game. All the staff writers are in there. It is absolutely loaded. I'll throw it over to you for the prospect side and the trading card side, but the fantasy baseball chat, there's guys coming in consistently like, oh, start this guy, start this guy. There's a 30-team dynasty league in there talking about not only current good fantasy players, but potentially the next great fantasy baseball players, right? The MLB draft guys have been loading that section up with tons of stuff. We're trying to decide who's going to be the number one overall pick, but as well as the draft is going to work. And obviously on the trading cards and prospect side, you've just been crushing it as well.
Yeah, it's been fun. I sent in all of the PSA submissions I got back the other day, and people will be chatting up with us like, oh, like Bowman baseball's coming out, which are some underrated prospects I should chase, and just telling people about that. Sometimes peeling back the curtain on what prospect cards I'm investing in. That part's been really fun. And then just in the evening, man, I set up, I'm watching the games. The big league games, an MLB big inning, but I'm also keeping up with all the minor league games and tuning in. And, there's just a facet of people, both in the MLB chat that's always rocking, but then the prospects chat where it's like, oh, Johnny Farmello, first game back, just homered. Like, what are your expectations for him? Or like, if somebody didn't see something that I caught, I'll put a video in there. Like, look at this catch that I just saw in one of the games. And that part of it's really fun. It's like watching minor league baseball with a bunch of your friends. So from the prospect side, it's really fun. And then you get the same thing rocking on the big league side. So it's been a blast on that front. We just had a box break as well. That was super fun. And that was Discord exclusive. And then we did a call-up mailbag with all the Discord questions in there also. And there was a lot of really fun questions on that front. So we'd love to have you in there. Great way to support just baseball, of course, because all of our articles and everything is free on the website. So it's a great way for us to be able to keep investing into growing the website, growing everything that we're doing, and really appreciate the support there. It's been cool to see that number push to 600 and really have a big community already building in there.
Really appreciate all the support. Again, to join, you can find the link in the episode description. And also, if you're interested, rate, review Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you are just enjoying this show, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your shows, as well as like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Let's go over to the starting pitching staff. Now, this isn't necessarily in any order. These are just the 5 best starters that we selected, but I'm sure there are other names. It's kind of like with pitchers, especially, it's a little bit tougher because with batters, right? You can look at WRC plus, you can look at F4, kind of gives you the answer so far. With pitchers, would you rather a guy who's thrown more innings? Maybe his
Yeah.
ERA is a little bit higher. Some guys have a higher F WAR. Does that matter to you? Or is it just the best in ERA. So I decided to do a little bit of both. So I'm sure there will be people upset that I didn't name their favorite guy in the YouTube comments. So I'm sure there will be some debates, especially in our
Pitching's
Discord,
impossible.
with our Discord as well. So we're going to start with Paul Skeens. Pretty fun guy to start with, right? He's coming
Yeah.
off an amazing start against the Dodgers. 2.39 ERA, 37 and two thirds, 39 strikeouts. He's even getting unlucky if you look at his expected ERA, which is 1.94. It's because he's walking 2.8% of batters and he's giving us new pitches. He's just, when I watch, he looks like the best pitcher in baseball. Like when you
Yeah.
just, we've seen all these different guys, Yamamoto has a better ERA, so does Tyler Mahle, so does Hunter Brown, so does Tyler McGill, so does a bunch of other guys. When I watch baseball, Paul Skeens is the most talented pitcher on earth.
Yeah, I'll take the ABs against Tyler Mahle. I think most big league hitters would. That Dodgers start is just really what like solidified it to me. It's like you take your lowly miserable team against the Dodgers in LA, and you can just lead them to a victory by just carving up a ridiculous lineup. And he had the one bad start against the Cardinals, and it's funny, like even if in his bad start it was 5 earned, he still gave you 6 innings. And that's the thing with him is like even in his bad starts, he's gonna get you through 5, 6, usually 6, and punch out 7. The walks is amazing to me though. 39 Ks, 4 walks. The fact that you're not giving out any free passes, you're getting ground balls at a 52% clip still. I I think he's going to run away. Like the rest of the season, I know Yamamoto's been great, but I think he's going to run away with it as the season progresses. I think he's going to get better and better and better. And I think he wins the Cy Young convincingly. This changes so much. It's a long season, but I just see him hitting this stride where the command is so good. He's getting ground balls more than ever. Like I think he's just going to continue to level up. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. But a 500 OPS allowed is just crazy, and it's just been so fun to watch him do his thing. So it sucks that he's on the Pirates, a team that just perpetually does not invest in their offense, and it's been tough to watch at points. But it's he's worth watching every single time he throws.
Worth the price of admission, as is Yoshinobu Yamamoto, even though you got to pay a little bit more to go see
Yes.
Yamamoto pitch at Dodger Stadium, but still worth the price of admission. He is your ERA leader at 1.06, 34 innings. The strikeouts have been awesome. He's rocking a 32.6% strikeout rate. The walk rate is still great. I mean, there's not much to say about Yamamoto other than the fact is he has a million different pitches at his disposal and he can kind of throw them wherever. But he has been really focused on that four seam and the splitter, and both pitches have just been outrageous. But he can taste break with like 7 other different pitches, and you just never really know what's coming.
Yeah, and I think just establishing that fastball has been so helpful for the splitter. Where I mean, he gets good carry on the fastball, and even though it's maybe not generating a ton of whiff, it's a lot of weak contact, and then you're able to get that splitter working off of it, where you speed guys up, and then it just drops off of that. That's disgusting. But then, even if you get stuck into a vertical cadence as a hitter, then all of a sudden that's when he's going to sweep that cutter or that curveball that works a little bit more horizontally and just really mess you up there and change your sights. The other thing that's amazing to me with him is strikeout rate north of 30% and a ground ball rate north of 60%.
Wow.
Very rare. If he could maintain that through the season, I don't know if anybody else in Major League Baseball would have those two figures.
Yeah.
If you are striking out 1 out of every 3 batters and then 2 out of every 3 batters almost when they're making contact or putting it on the ground, you're probably going to succeed pretty consistently.
Yeah, that's about as elite as it gets. Another elite arm this year. Hunter Brown. It's pitched to a 1.22 ERA for the Astros, 37 innings, 40 punchouts. But this has been a thing for Brown. Ever since the second half of last season, he's pitched to a 2.26 ERA, 71 innings post All-Star break, and he's just carrying that into this year with a 1.22. He has been enormous for an Astros team that's seen Framber Valdez take a slight step back, and that they've been starting a couple of new guys. The rotation is really up in the air. Of course, Lance McCullers Jr. coming back helps, but this is the frontline guy. He might have
Yep.
overtaken Framber as the ace of the Astros at this point.
I was going to ask you, like, at risk of recency bias, 1 game playoff tomorrow
Brown.
for the Astros. You're going Brown, right?
Brown.
You're
I
not
feel
going
good about
Framber.
it too. It's not, and that's not really like, oh, it's because I'm down on Framber. It's more, I'm so high on Hunter Brown. His fastball is one of the best pitches in baseball and his most used pitch. When your fastball is your best pitch and one of the best pitches and you use it the most, yeah, I'm going to
You're
latch onto that guy.
you're going to be in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
And the last 20 starts, as you mentioned, like after, so July 6th last year, he had a 6 inning, 12 hit, 7 earned start against the Twins. And then after that, a 194 and 20 starts is crazy.
Yeah.
No, it really hasn't, he has not looked back since that kind of iffy start there, where I think the worst outing he had was 5 earned against the A's in September. But I mean, other than that, it's pretty much been like 3 earned or less every single time out there. And he's also giving you 6 innings almost every single freaking time. Like 20 starts, and he's thrown 120 and a thirds innings in that span. Like that's awesome stuff. So he is their lead guy, no doubt about it. And it's been really fun to watch him pitch.
Next up, Phillies left-hander Jesus Luzardo. 1.73 ERAs, 3-0 on the year. Shout out the wins. 36 innings, 41 punch-outs. The Phillies have an array of great arms. I've talked about Christopher Sanchez at length, about a dark horse Cy Young. Zach Wheeler remains one of the best pitchers in baseball. Aaron Nola is off to a little bit of a rougher start. Ranger Suarez is injured, but they still have other pitchers in the pipeline ready to go. But Luzardo has been the best of the bunch and one of the top 5 pitchers in Major League Baseball. What a trade for the Phillies.
Yeah, 100%. You traded a guy that's still in low A, a kid, and then another lower level prospect as well. So like for the Phillies, you're in win now mode. I don't think you're worried about that. And just to see Luzardo healthy, as we talked about, and just what a reminder of what that looks like. And he's throwing that slider harder, and it's like sweepier at like 86, and it's just been dominant for him this year. That sweeper opponents are hitting 140 against, and he's throwing it 25% of the time. Big whiff, big chase numbers. The changeup is back to being an effective offering for him. Then he still mixes in, that more traditional slider that he had in the past. And then just the fastball velo being back up again, I think has been huge for him. He looks like that Jesus Luzardo that kind of started to like break out. And when we talked about after the trade from Oakland and then coming over to the Marlins and getting this second chance, and then it was all kind of all clicking for him, and he becomes this really exciting up and coming arm, and then injuries kind of took that down again after that. Like he looks like that guy again, and I'm pumped for him. And I mean, big game changer for them. If you imagine a playoff rotation, if he's maintaining this, where you can go from Wheeler to Sanchez to Luzardo, like it's just terrifying.
Terrifying. Let's go to pitcher number 5, Tyler Mahle of the Texas Rangers. Had to add Tyler Mahle in, even though I know there are a couple other pitchers who've maybe thrown some more innings or maybe have a higher F WAR, but I couldn't not include a guy with a 1.14 ERA and through 31 and 2/3 to start with a 0.98 whip. Now, is he probably due to take a step back soon because he's walking close to 11% of batters? But still, his expected ERA is around 3.5. That's maybe what he settles into at the end of the season. I mean,
Run with that.
he is a huge addition for this Rangers rotation that has been up in the air. It was great to see DeGrom touching 100 again. That definitely egg on my face being like, I'm a little bit nervous about DeGrom. And then a couple starts later, now he's back to 100. That take might be pretty damn sour. But, they've had a couple injuries there. There's not a lot of consistency in this rotation other than Jacob DeGrom and Tyler freaking Mahle. 1.14 is outrageous.
And shout out Nady Eovaldi as
Yeah,
well. That guy just
absolutely.
does not slow down. But yeah, this is huge. And yeah, if he regresses to a 3.5, you're taking that and running. But the biggest thing is just the way he's limited damage. No homers in 6 starts, only 3 doubles and a triple that he's given up. So yeah, he's given up some free passes here and there, but he's allowed a hard hit rate of 34%. It's quite low. And then he gets the whiffs when he needs to. So yeah, you'd like to see that walk rate maybe cut down a little bit, but as long as he's dodging barrels enough and doing what he's doing, like opponents have a 465 OPS against him this year. I agree. I don't think he's sustaining a 217 BABIP, but there's probably something to be said about the quality of contact that he's yielding, and I think that's been huge for him. So it's been really cool to see just him healthy as well. And again, reminder, this guy was once very, very, very good. So it's nice to see him back to that, and I think it's a huge part of what can make the Rangers successful this year.
Definitely. Let's go to the best closer in baseball to start the season. That is Andres Munoz of the Seattle Mariners. Hasn't given up a run yet. Hasn't given up a run yet, Arm. 11 saves, 15 innings, 19 punchouts. The slider opponents are hitting 036 against
Yeah,
it with a
what?
60% whiff rate, and he's throwing it 47% of the time. He is unhittable right now. But I want to also shout out Robert Suarez, has been also phenomenal for the San Diego Padres. But we only get one. And because our next reliever is a non closer, unfortunately, Suarez didn't make this team. His teammate did, but I'm giving it to Andres Munoz of the Mariners.
42% chase rate on the slider and a 31% swinging strike rate. Just for reference, like good would be for a reliever, even like good would be like 19%. So
Yeah.
it is off the chart stuff. Like you're just not hitting that pitch. It's one of the best sliders in Major League Baseball.
And for our non closer, Jason Adam, who's also off to an incredible start as the premier holder right
Yeah.
now, I think, in Major League Baseball. The guy who gets you to Robert Suarez in the ninth inning, 0.56 ERA. He's got 16 innings, 22 punchouts. Really, when you're facing the Padres and you're down eighth and ninth inning, the game is absolutely over. I think Jason Adam, if Robert Suarez were to go down, or hopefully not, but what I am saying is that Jason Adam, I think, could be a top 10, top 15 closer in Major League Baseball, but he just so
Yeah.
happens to be pitching in the eighth inning, and that bendy breaking ball that he has is still as elite as ever.
Yeah. No doubt. And I think that we were talking about it. Like, what do you value a guy that's thrown like 12 innings of zero ERA, like a Shelby Miller or
Yeah.
a Jason Adam, who's allowed the one earned run, but it's in 16 innings. And we went with Adam because he's also thrown more eighth innings than a lot of the
Yeah.
other guys that maybe have not given up a run yet. The strikeout numbers are ridiculous. Basically, if you had to plug him in, yeah, to close games out, you wouldn't be worried about it at all. Suarez is just on a different level, I think, of a lot of other relievers right now. But yeah, I wouldn't be. There's few better like complementary options. You look at the Guardians and the fact that they could plug Cade Smith in when Class A was struggling.
Yeah.
The Yankees and they could plug in a Luke Weaver. But I mean, Adams right there, I think, with all those guys is like is as good of a number two choice for your closer role as possible.
And I mean, Luke Weaver hasn't a lot of run here, folks. I'm non-biased, nor
Yeah.
has Shelby Miller, but I decided to include also guys who have not recorded a save yet. That was like the way that I moved about non-closers. So I couldn't put Cade Smith in. I couldn't put Luke Weaver in because they've substituted as the closer. And because Jason Adam doesn't have a save yet, it was up against like Reed Garrett of the New York Mets, who has also been incredible. Shelby Miller of the Diamondbacks been incredible, but I'll take four more innings. I'll give up one run. And just when
Yeah.
you watch Jason Adam, like, I mean, these guys don't have
390 OPS against.
they don't have a chance. So
No.
before we get to the superlatives, the best starting pitching performance, offensive performance, team performance, surprising starts, surprising players, and of course, my last word, our last break. The best starting pitching performance of the season so far goes to Michael King against the Rockies on April 13th. He destroyed a terrible offense. 9 innings, 2 hits, no earned, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts with 17 whiffs in a 6-0 game. Shout out Peyton from Big League Analysis. He gave us the leaderboards of game score, and Michael King's start against the Rockies in this game had the highest game score of the season on Baseball Reference. Michael King. And as we're recording right now, he's pitching against the Giants, and I think he's through 3 of Shuddy. He's just one of the best pitchers in baseball, and he dismantled a terrible Rockies offense.
Yeah, the competition is you could say that maybe some of the other outings against better teams could have been more impressive, but it's just so rare to see guys go nine
Yeah.
nowadays, and to be able to do that, it was 110 pitches, but to be able to do that is just so freaking impressive. Yeah, I think some of the others that we talked about, you had mentioned to me, like I kind of forgot Max Meyer punching out 14 over 6 innings, but again, there's something to be said about then being able to go through the lineup one more freaking time. I understand that it's the Rockies, but it's still big league lineup. Whereas Meyer went through the lineup twice, and I just think it's a little bit.
Yeah.
It would have been a little bit tougher. Like I don't think he's going nine shutty if you stretched him out further. There started to be a little bit more competitive ABs all of a sudden, and yeah, I think there's a reason why they took him out. The other one was like Mackenzie Gore, and I'm trying to think of how many innings Gore went. I'm going to look right.
He only won 6 innings,
6,
struck out 13.
but he
So
allowed 2 earned.
yeah, he
And
allowed two.
and that was also at the Rockies. Well,
Yeah.
he did it twice this year. So
Yeah.
if you talk about the Phillies one, it was 6 innings of 1 hit, no runs, no walks, 13 Ks. But again, those three, the 7, 8, 9 innings, those are the almost impossible innings. Those are the innings that the analytics have said don't bother, right?
Yeah.
So that's what makes it so much more impressive, I think. And I agree with that being, and that's why it has the highest game score.
Yeah, and that's why. So Schwellenbach, number 2, his start back on April 4th, where he went 8 shutty with 10 Ks. Nathan Eovaldi, his complete game shutout with 8 strikeouts. Mackenzie Gore, again, that 6 inning, 1 hit, 0 earned run, 13 punch out performance. And then Seth Lugo's 8 inning shutout performance, again, just a few days ago, are the top 5 in game score on Baseball Reference. The best offensive performance is easy. Gino Suarez, Eugenio Suarez on April
Are you
26th
sure?
versus the Braves, 4 for 4 with 4 dingers and 5 RBIs. What's crazy to me, too, is it is really more rare than a perfect game. I know we talked about it plenty of times, but still saying that out loud sounds weird.
It's the rarest feat, right?
Yeah,
Honestly, it's one of those things where it's like, if a guy has 3 home runs and they're like, "Oh, we're on watch for the fourth," I'm like, yeah,
never
sure.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah. He's gonna get walked or whatever. Like
Or a little
perfect
double,
game
right?
watch.
He's hitting the ball hard, but it doesn't leave the ballpark. Like it's really hard to hit a home run.
It's really hard, and usually the fourth at bat's going to be against the high leverage arm or some shit. Like, yeah, I don't even really believe it's going to happen, and so that's what makes it, I think, the most incredibly difficult thing to do in baseball, and unusual thing to do. Uh, this is the easiest slam dunk runaway, and Suarez is he's having a unique year, and it's not
Really
just the
weird.
4 home run game. He has 20 hits this year, 10 homers.
Yeah.
He has no interest in anything other than a homer right now, it
Good.
seems like. And, yeah, fuck yeah, I like it. It's
I'll
fun.
take it. Yeah.
It's enjoyable, but he's hitting 198 and he has an 836 OPS. So it's been funny to watch, but that game, I mean, it'll go down as one of the best games in Diamondbacks history. It's just crazy that the last 2 guys that did it were D-backs as well.
Yeah.
And it just shows you the different types of hitters too. JD Martinez, very different type of hitter from Eugenio Suarez, but yeah, I mean that was pretty freaking incredible to watch, especially the fact that the fourth was also a game tire in the bottom of the ninth.
Best team performance in one individual game has to be the Cincinnati Reds winning 24-2 over the Orioles on April 20th, spraying 25 hits. It was the largest margin of victory for the Reds in 113 years. Or maybe they should have invested in pitching a little bit more. But I know Orioles fans immediately, everyone's hurt. Everyone's hurt. I get it. I get it. But still, not good.
Well, they just got Kyle Gibson back, so
Yeah, he pitched well.
yeah, there's another solid 5 starter.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, the thing that it boils down to for me and what makes this game so incredible is we talked about it in the past. Austin Wynns went 6 for 7.
Noel Marte.
Austin Wynns, yeah, no, Elvi Marte. Well, he might just be good. I don't know.
He
No,
just might be
I'm
good.
still not. I need another month.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, you had everybody top to bottom absolutely mashing for the most part. The funniest part about that game, though, he did homer, but LA De La Cruz only had 1 hit, and your leadoff hitter TJ Frieda only had 1 hit. So you had 11 hits between Noelvi Marte and Austin Wynns, and then everybody else did at least contribute, but your top 2 hitters, arguably in the lineup, or at least 2 of your top 3 guys, literally in the lineup, only had a hit each.
So maybe this isn't the best team performance. Maybe this is the best duo at the bottom of the lineup performance
The best,
in MLB history.
I think it's the best 8-9 performance in MLB history. That I'm like not even kidding. I don't know if the 8-9 hitters have ever combined for 11 hits, 2 homers, and 2 doubles. Like ever. I'm not sure.
So the last 2 is most surprising team start and most surprising player. Now I'm sure Aram and I are going to have different answers because we are surprised at different things. I'm going to start negative on my most surprising start. I have 1 positive and 1 negative. We'll start negative. I am surprised the Rockies are 4-25. Like I am
Yeah, I didn't think they'd
because
be that bad.
it is the fourth worst start through 25 games in history, going 4-21, and now they are 4-25. So they've lost four in a row since they had the fourth worst start in MLB history. You'd think that playing your games on the moon, you have a special type of advantage, but they don't. Now, we are recording during the middle of this Braves versus Rockies game. Maybe they're able to steal one. Yeah, it is 2-1 in the bottom of the eighth, so they will go to 5-25 if they can close
Let's
it out
go.
here. But that is surprising to me. I didn't think they'd be any good. I thought they'd be one of the worst teams in baseball. I didn't think they'd get off to one of the worst starts ever.
Yeah, I mean, there's no on the negative side. I don't think there's a more shockingly bad team. I do think the Orioles
True.
probably could fit the bill. We had concerns, but I
Yeah.
don't think we thought they'd be 6.5 games behind the Yankees before we hit May. I
I'm
think that
actually, I think I'm more surprised about the Rockies, but I was down on the Orioles to start the year. I didn't think they'd be, right. I thought they'd maybe beat a couple games under 500 at this point, not as bad as they have been. And I think they will eventually heat up. The offense is still really good, especially against right handed pitching. So I think they'll be fine, which is why I just went with the Rockies. Like 4-25 is outrageous.
and I honestly looked at the team. I said, I don't think they're going to be worse this year.
Yeah.
So it is pretty shocking. I'd probably go with that as the most shocking negative as well, just because they could actually be the worst team in Major League Baseball history, which I wasn't even on my radar. They weren't on my worst MLB team in history radar going into this year.
With a special advantage at home.
That's the thing. That's why I thought, like, no
Yeah.
way they'd be that bad. Like, they're always around 500 at home, no matter how bad they are.
So, in terms of a surprising good team, for me, because I was down on the Tigers going into the year, it has to be them, right? So, I wrote down that they are 19-12. Again, we were recording. Let me see here if they won that game against the Astros. Yes, they did. So, they are 19-12. They have the best record in the AL at the time of recording with the second best run differential in the American League. I thought they'd be a pretty good team, right? Talking about them in the offseason, I said they'd probably finish around 500 because I didn't believe in the offense. I didn't think Spencer Torkelson would be this good. I didn't think Javier Baez would be hitting 300. And shout out Javier Baez for that grand slam at Minute Maid.
Yep.
I didn't think Zach McKinstry would be one of the top 15 players in Major League Baseball. What's crazy about this is the guy I did think that was going to be really good, Riley Green, has not gotten off to a good start.
No.
That's how confusing baseball could be. I had a feeling they would have a good rotation. Didn't think it would be this good. The bullpen has just been solid. They are a really, really good team, managed well by AJ Hinch. Scott
Yeah.
Harris has, you know, he knows what he's doing in that GM's office. Like, I mean, this is just a really well balanced team all around.
Yeah. Yeah. They're definitely exceeding, I think, a lot of expectations. I will say for me, though, probably the biggest surprise, even more specifically, is the Mariners' offense.
Hmm.
But I would say the Mariners in general, I thought they're always going to be solid with their pitching, but I don't know if I was confident that they'd be 17-12 to start the year as we're recording this. And then you dive deeper into it. If you told me they'd be 17-12, but Randy Arozarena has a 727 OPS, and more importantly, Julio Rodriguez has what? What are we looking at here? Has a 684 at the time of recording.
Yeesh.
I'd be like, oh, like it's probably more of the same, right? But it's not because Jorge Polanco is insane. I'm going to be doing a dive on him too, by the way. His swing is totally changed. And like what he was doing before, I never really like dove into it. No wonder he was getting blown up by fastball. So like that, that might be one of our first like just baseball originals videos that I'm going to do. It's just like the shift in Jorge Polanco from the left side. It's incredibly different. And that's why he's been awesome. But for them to be third in OBP, like this is a team that like put together a lot of frustrating at bats last year. They're eighth in slugging. They're number one in walks so far this season. Like that's all things I wouldn't have expected. And then also they haven't had George Kirby yet this year. And so for them to be doing what they're doing with no Kirby, when they've been so pitching centric, I think it's been as big of a surprise for me as any. Again, I didn't think they'd be a bad team, but just the way they're doing it out of the gate when they could easily just keep getting better, assuming that you're going to get a little bit more out of Julio and Randy, and you're going to get Kirby back hopefully, and you're going to get Matt Brash back. It's like, wow, this might finally be coming together for them a little bit.
I'm surprised your answer wasn't the Giants because I remember you being a little bit
Oh, that
lower
was
on
going to be
them.
my other answer earlier today when you mentioned it. I was going to go. That might actually be a better answer, to be honest. They're
But
19 and
I
11.
like your take about the Mariners too, because it's like you might not expect them to be 17 and 12 if you found out that Julio and Randy Arozarena were league average to below league average hitters, and they have, one of the highest run scored marks in Major League Baseball. So I understand where you were coming from. I just thought you were going to go with the Giants.
What's funny is when you sent the topic and the rundown, I thought Giants. And then for whatever reason, once we started recording, I was like Mariners. But the Giants, for sure, I would say are probably even more surprising for me. I think just the fact that the Mariners offense specifically, I think is probably the biggest surprise of like a unit. But no chance I was expecting the Giants to be 19 and 11. Like absolutely no chance. And you could play the same game with them though. Like if you told me that Lamont Wade has a sub 500 OPS,
Yeah.
Willie Adames has a sub 600 OPS, and Elliot Ramos has a sub 700 OPS, and they're 19 and 11 to start the season, I would have laughed. Because especially you look at the rotation, I've always been a little bit lower on Jordan Hicks, the starter. Uh, Verlander, I was not really planning to see him put together quality starts. Like Robbie Ray, I actually did like some of the things that we've seen, but it's not like he's been dynamite the whole year. They are probably the whole team the biggest surprise for me, though. I will say.
I got to say, I'm very happy with my over 79.5 wins ticket on
It's
BetMGM
looking
for the
good.
San Francisco Giants.
It's looking good.
And to be fair to that too, it's not like I was like, oh yeah, the Giants are going to win this division. Like they're going to win 95 games. They're going to be incredible, like they are on pace for right now. I was like, this team is definitely going to finish over 500. What am I missing here? And I'm glad to see that they have just gotten off to this rocking start. Most surprising player, I will start positive this time. Again, this is my surprising player. So everybody listening, you might have others that you're more surprised about, and you would be right, right? This is purely your opinion on who you're most surprised about. Griffin Canning, are you kidding? I did not see this coming. You can say whatever you want about the Mets pitching lab, but I agree. I thought they would get out the most of some of these guys. I didn't think they'd turn Griffin Canning into a better pitcher so far this year than Clay Holmes. He's got a 2.61 ERA versus Clay Holmes at 2.64 in over 30 innings. And it's not Griffin Canning where I'm looking at a 2.61 ERA. It's like, well, his FIP is 50,000. His underlying metrics are horrible. This is going to stop soon. No, it won't. Everything looks good. When you watch him, he looks like a better pitcher too. I'm just like, man, I I don't sometimes guys like that make me feel like I don't know shit about baseball. Like I
Yeah,
have
right.
no idea what I'm talking about sometimes.
Yeah, where you can't even talk yourself into it
Yeah,
working out, and it works out swimmingly. Yeah,
way
that's why
better.
this sport's
And not
insane.
even just working out, right? He doesn't have a 3.8 where he's just getting the Mets into he's pitching really well.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
respect David Stearns, man.
I'm
Um,
respecting him so much.
I'd probably go with one of the two Tigers guys, but I'm gonna go Javi Baez because like I just that guy was so cooked. Like there's no way. And I know we just talked about him on the other episode, but like there was no way that this guy was gonna do anything ever again, in my opinion. Like I just watched him so checked out. He had a 43 WRC plus last year. That's a 184, 221, 294 slash line. He entered today, as we're recording this, with a zero point 0.6 F war. And that was before the Grand Slam. He has a 116 WRC plus. He's slashing 296, 337, 407. And
304 now after that Grand Slam after the game. He's up over 300 again.
like and he's also playing a pretty good center field when they put him out there.
Yeah.
He's going to play a good shortstop. He's going to play a good third. Like this super utility, Javier Baez is a good player. So it went from like, oh my gosh, he's not even worth the 26-man spot to he's a really good role player for you. Not worth 6 years, 140 million, but that ship already sailed. So you'll take what you can get. He's got to be the biggest surprise for me because I mean, he was, I think, the worst watch in baseball last year. Like, so to go from that, and it wasn't just last year, he was horrible the year before that for 136 straight games.
Horrible.
He had a 63 WRC plus. Like, it's night and day. There's a real chance he puts together his best season since, really he was shipped over to the Mets. But if you talk about full season with one team, it'd be the best season since like 2019 with the Cubs. Um, it's been nice to see.
Do you think he can earn his yearly value this year? Like, do you think he could be worth a 22 million player around there?
Uh, uh,
Like,
no,
let's say, let me
I'm
give you a,
still not, I'm not believing it.
let me give you a slash line for him. Let's say he hits 280, 320, 470, and he's a 3-win player. Would you pay 22 million for
Uh,
that?
like with the defense,
In this market?
not quite, but I wouldn't be pissed about it.
In this market?
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe.
guys are signing crazy deals.
Yeah.
It that might technically be worth it for this year.
If he slugs 470 out, I'd be in shock. In shock.
Yeah, maybe did I
He's
say 470? That's a little much. All
He
right,
did slug
for
531 in 2019, but here's his slugging percentages as a Tiger: 393, 325, 294.
294 is
It's nuts.
nuts.
That's why he's the biggest surprise to me.
So, biggest surprise on the negative side for me. Jock Peterson of the Texas Rangers has a 10 WRC plus. He is 7 for 80 to start the year with no home runs. And of course, we remember that 0 for 41 streak. I can't believe that.
Yeah.
He was such a good hitter for Arizona last year. He's been a good hitter for a couple of years now. He's been perfect in this platoon role, get him against righties, mostly DHing, and raking. Hard hit rate out of control, just been incredible. And then this year, he has looked like a ghost. He looks like
Yep.
he's swinging with a blindfold on. It's the biggest 180. I think I can kind of remember that's the end of the sentence. I think that I could
Yeah.
remember a guy going from legitimately one of the better hitters in baseball against righties to an unplayable hole in the matter of an offseason.
Yeah. It's weird. I honestly don't know what happened. He's showing little signs of life over the last few games, and he had two knocks. His first, I think, multi-hit game of the year the other day against the Giants, but like
But
shocking.
that's what got him up to a 10 WRC plus.
Yeah, that got him up to a 100 batting average.
Yeah.
Like it's just
So his good
shocking.
games got him up to the worst stats in baseball.
Yeah, that's got to be, I think, the biggest surprise because of how good he was last year. My other answer, though, just because it's a guy that I've just always been so high on, is Vinny Pasquantino.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's got time, obviously, but looked like he was finally putting it all together through the second half of last year, and put up a 108 WRC plus, hit 19 homers, and he's just been brutal this year. And you just figured like, okay, it's really his fourth year, but he only played 72 games in 2022 and 61 games in 2023. But like it's his fourth year in the big leagues. Figure that he takes that step forward this year, and he just hasn't so far. 174, 242, 303 slash line, and they need him. And so it's just I was expecting, especially with the trend that we saw at the end of last year and just where he's going and just again how high I've been on his bat since he was a prospect, that this would be the year where he really puts it together. And instead, through the first 30 games, it's kind of been a step backwards again. So I'm hoping he gets it right, but it's just been surprising because you include even the postseason over his final 30 something games, he hit over 300. So it's just been kind of surprising to see him kind of step backwards again and strike out a lot. 20% K rate. He entered this year with like a 12% K rate at the big league level.
So that'll do it for our April and March award show, basically. And also make sure to go check out justbaseball.com. Power rankings are out. I'm sure by the time you are listening to this, rankings for all 30 teams, and you can see the difference in the rankings based on our original power rankings that we made before the season. So you can keep up with that on justbaseball.com. You can see how teams move. I'm sure you'll disagree. So go let us know on Instagram. And while you're on Instagram, mailbag on Friday, our first of the season. I think we are so due for a mailbag. Go check it out on our Instagram. We're going to take half the questions from Instagram and Twitter, and then the other half from our Discord. So it'll probably be about anywhere from 8 to 10 questions. So make sure if you're not in the Discord, go send your questions on our Instagram at Just Baseball Show or on our Twitter at JustBB_media. And then, of course, if you're in the Discord and you're listening to this, make sure you're asking questions because we will be collecting all of those from the Discord as well. A great other way to support the Just Baseball Show, get yourself some Just Baseball merch. I'm rocking the athletic tee. I'm rocking the hat as well. Where the hell's your Just Baseball merch?
I gave it a day off today. I was rocking it the other day. I had to clean it up a little bit.
I think I wear this hat every single day. It's my
Yeah.
favorite hat. I wear it every single day. Remember to get yours in the merch store. You can find that link in the episode description. But before we go, truly, truly the last word. I got a good one for you, Arm, today. We're talking about jellyfish here.
Oh, let's go.
We're talking about jellyfish. So, Tortiposis dorni, also referred to as the immortal jellyfish. Unlike most animals that age and eventually die, this jellyfish can revert to a younger, sexually immature polyp stage when conditions are unfavorable for it. This process involves the reprogramming of its cells, allowing it to essentially rewind its life cycle and regenerate. Remember, I am just copying off Google right now. These are not my words. I don't know shit about jellyfish, but I saw an immortal jellyfish and I was like, huh? How is that even possible? So, because this life cycle reversal can be repeated indefinitely, the immortal jellyfish is considered biologically immortal, meaning it could theoretically live forever, although it can still be killed by external factors like predators or disease. So, as long as it stays healthy and stays away from predators, these specific forms of jellyfish can literally live forever.
I wonder what like the oldest one is. Like, is there just been one that's like kicking for like a million years?
He might be the leader of the sea. I mean, we've
Yeah.
discovered more of our moon than we have the sea. There could be a lead jellyfish who's been around on Earth for 60 million years.
Yeah, it's like a Benjamin Button thing kind of going on there, huh? But then you can just
Well,
reset it over and over again.
so the reason I heard about this is I was watching Netflix after all the baseball games to kind of fall asleep. I've been watching a lot of Planet Earth and all these things, and I
Yeah, I
was
love that.
realizing another weird fact about spiders. Spiders have been on Earth since the dinosaurs roamed Earth like 200 million years ago, and I'm thinking to myself, spiders are lacking. How have you not evolved into something cooler? Like you had
Yeah.
200 million years to evolve. Look how humans evolved.
I mean the spinning a web
Dogs,
is pretty
cats.
insane.
It is insane. They were spinning webs 200 million years ago. It's an old gag by now, spiders.
What do you want them to do?
I don't know. They could build a city or something. I
Yeah.
mean, it's been 200 million years. I expect
They have had
more
a
than just the same spider that's been here forever. You'd think that they would grow into something
kind of lazy. Are
lazy.
they the laziest insect species?
I mean, they're good for our environment because they catch all the bugs and shit, but you'd think they'd be catching like, other
Us.
things that suck.
Yeah,
Maybe
like
just
us by now.
glad that they didn't evolve. They'd be catching us in webs. So actually, I take it back. Spiders, you're doing great. Just keep sticking on the
Yeah,
ground.
just keep chilling, man. Just you don't need to do anything more.
That truly was the last word. For Arm Layton, I am Peter Apple. We will see you on Friday for the mailbag. And with that, thank you, everybody.